Hello, this is Gene Irwin, the founder of the 3D Business Launch Model, and this is the mini course system designed to help you understand why people start their own business. You'll learn the motivation behind people who become self-employed. Why people start their own business, and are you up to the challenge? Why people start their own business. The number one reason people start their own business is that they want to be their own boss and get out of the confining conditions and rat race working for others. Why? Because they have no say in the direction of the company or future, no say in the type or quality of products or services. Management doesn't want to hear and doesn't want your recommendations, and no say in when, how, or where you work, and certainly no say at what pay. Some of you may not experience this, but a lot of people have. It's called perspective. Working for others for a long period of time and developing work habits and context does two things to a person's attitude. Number one, your self-worth becomes tied to your job and your title. Number two, your world revolves around your job and company. You most likely know someone who worked at their job or company for a long period of time, over 5 years, and were suddenly let go, and who have found it difficult to find a suitable replacement job and gain the respect and association they once had. Many years ago, as the chief operating officer for a small company that we helped take public, I called in certain people into my office and said, I'm going to have to change your title from a vice president to that of a manager of that particular location. He had come from the banking world, and the vice president title was more important to him than salary or a place to park his car. I couldn't believe it. It was a simple change in a person's title. That's all it was. At any rate, for some people, it's devastating. So be careful how you treat your employees. Make sure that the titles you give to them are appropriate and that they earn it. One of the most compelling reasons to start your own business is the hope for freedom and experiences that it provides to you. Having freedom to make the decisions which direct the course of your company comes with risk and reward. If you are the only one making the tough decisions, it's wise to have mentors and other connections with those who have gone on before to help you avoid the pitfalls and challenges that all business owners have to face. Freedom is indeed a double-edged sword, one which can liberate your ability to create and develop, or reduce your efforts to shredded pages of what could have been. You will go through several issues which will challenge you, but you will also improve your decision-making skills in this new feeling we call freedom. My job in coaching you is to help you avoid the major disasters and quickly pick up the pieces and change course when issues arise, and they will. For some, the joy and satisfaction from creating a company that is prosperous and provides jobs to several families is a wonderful feeling, especially if you were the catalyst who started all of this to happen. How would you feel if you were the founder of a company that employs dozens of people and in a few years, and you created a legacy not only for yourself, but for a lot of people? As far as work goes, it doesn't get any better than that. Another primary reason why people start their own business, they're looking for flexible schedules and the experiences for their family and friends that go along with it. For a great number of business owners, the ability to manage personal time is to be with family and friends at special times in their life is more important than having a job. You would call that a quality of life. But imagine the ability to have a career where you have a great job and are able to work when, where, and how you want, with the flexibility to go see family when needed and take care of business issues when required, without having been chained to a desk. Why some people start their own business? They got fired. Perhaps the most difficult words the breadwinner can bring home to his or her family are those two words: got fired. Immediate panic ensues, and the financial stability of the individual and family is threatened immediately. Suddenly, there are contingency plans determined and put into motion. Friends and family might get involved to help you get over the shock, embarrassment, and frustration. I even got released on my birthday, just 10 months into my first job out of college, only to get a better one that afternoon. I guess it pays to be an engineer. But what if you don't have those credentials or certifications in a market where demand is high for your knowledge and skills? Well, you could take a course like this one and start your own business. Since you do have skills, one of the best opportunities might be to become an independent contractor for someone else, which reduces the cost of hiring you while providing you with a good living. That gives you time to consider hanging out your own shingle. That's the phrase used when we went self-employed years and years ago. Or in the common language of the 21st century, become self-employed. That could be one of the reasons you're taking this course. Good thing I've got experience to help you in Got Fired and also becoming an independent contractor. Another reason people start their own business is to have employees. Oh, those pesky employees. They demand so much. As the founder and owner of the business, in addition to taking care of the business, customers, and clients, you will have to learn how to take care of your employees. In minimum wage jobs, like working for a fast food franchise, it is obvious that new teenage employees don't know how to act or treat others, let alone how to respect and treat the customers. Perhaps a lesson can be learned the next time you patronize a Chick-fil-A restaurant, and notice how each of the employees work the counters and treat the customers. You may be in for a surprise. In one of my training videos, I mentioned that running a restaurant, especially with younger staff members, instead of being the CEO of a thriving business, you often end up being a glorified adult babysitter and have to fill in for people who don't show up for work on time, if at all. I'm serious. One of my first consulting clients were 6 different McDonald's and 3 franchises and 1 corporate store. Their biggest challenges are always food costs, followed immediately by employee development. The reason why people start their own business are the clients and customers. Perhaps nothing is more satisfying than having your clients and customers rave about you, your product, and your company sport. It truly is an amazing feeling. And while the customer isn't always right, as the saying goes, they're always the customer. If you treat your customers well, you will be pleasantly surprised at how serious they become in defending you, your company, and products to a third party. That's exactly why, in the initial beginning of your relationship with them, that you bend over backwards to make the product, service, or process work for them while using your focused and carefully delivered product or service. I mentioned in one of my videos that I had the pleasure of taking several executives out to dinner in Boston, Massachusetts from Exxon, who were having a very difficult time getting their computer systems to generate the correct CAD/CAM, or automated drafting systems, documents, and drawings, and printed in time to get to the manufacturing of various components for their company. I offered to help by taking their software drawings from the competitor software into our own software systems and then run them on our computers and drafting machines. I also lent them several systems to accelerate their learning curve in production and actually placed those systems right alongside our competitors at Exxon's headquarters. The result? I grabbed 60% of the competitor's business in one night. It pays to know your clients and your customers' technical needs, as well as knowing the details of what your competitors can and can't do. The final deal was worth millions of dollars. Another reason people start their own business is to accelerate learning, not only their own, but those that work for them. If you take time to invest in your own learning of how to run your business, and also invest in the lives and minds of your employees, they're usually not experts in doing everything that their job opportunities demand, but you can help them become expert at that particular job. Eventually, they will be the go-to person in that capacity. Be aware of the needs of all of your staff, assuming that you continue to expand and require more people to help your business grow. As I've said several times before in this short mini-course training to help you start your own home-based business, you can't be expected to do everything all the time better than everyone else. That's just ego talking. Yes, you most likely can do certain jobs better than the new employee, but your objective is to help them grow into their position. Then challenge them to do more, take more responsibility. People want to take pride in their work if you give them direction and challenge them to excel. I'm an independent contractor if you recently got let go from your work. So, a lot of the reasons people start their own job is that they end up becoming an independent contractor. What is an independent contractor, Gene? Well, it sounds like a role right out of a Jason Bourne movie. Actually, many industries hire independent contractors to fulfill roles that are either too expensive or too complex, that only people with certain skills or experiences can do the job more efficiently. For nearly 40 years, my father was a logging contractor in southwest Montana. We always had a crew of about 24 sawyers at our home by 5 o'clock in the morning, leaving in the crew cab trucks, heading to the woods. It was very dangerous work and very tough on the people and equipment. We had 3 different lumber mills in our small little town in Montana, which slowly trickled down to none over the last 25 years due to politics and changing markets. In essence, the lumber industry was being held hostage to external forces that cost hundreds of jobs and thousands of people out of work in the Northwest. It is my understanding that the cost to build a new home has risen dramatically in the last few years due to the scarcity and rapidly rising cost of lumber products. Supply and demand economy, and this is, after all, a capitalistic society. Just finished a section entitled An Independent Contractor. Many places will hire you to be an independent contractor. I wanted to show you one of mine. Years ago, I worked for a very prestigious management consulting company on the East Coast. They always had great results for their clients. I was one of their senior consultants. My hourly rate is shown here on the screen at $439 an hour. Now, I didn't get all of that, obviously, but about a third of that went to the company as overhead. But I wanted you to know who you were talking to, and this was several years ago, so my rates are obviously a little higher than that now, but we do everything we can to help you succeed. Another major reason that people start their own business is the technology allows them to do so, or in some cases, technology holds them back. In a bid to help all newly minted business owners understand the relative facets of current marketing, sales, and product or service delivery, technology, in its various forms, such as expensive equipment, often drive the market beyond the capacity of the small business owner to compete. On the other hand, certain aspects of technology also permit the individual to create several home-based businesses, which are derived by filling a niche or a very small market in his or her local area. But this is the age of what I call the WW freeway. You would call it the internet. You can just as easily fill a role in another state from where you are right now as you can developing a client in the next town or cross town. Take advantage of all that current technology makes available to you. Who knows? You may create the next drone business. Virtually all the people I talked to who are self-employed had an immediate thoughts of that they would have a higher income. Well, yes, that's true. A lot of self-employed people have a higher income, but you also have higher risk. Most people think that self-employed or sole proprietorship business owners make a much higher income than people who work for others. In some cases, that is true, but if you look closely, they put in the work, the hours, and the effort to get where they are. Government regulations, especially if you have employees, make it very difficult to succeed unless you have substantial financial backing in the first place. That is primarily due to the economics of the overhead that you carry as a business owner and employees in your business. On the other hand, if your business can operate efficiently with just a few people, you might be able to parlay that into a great job experience for everyone. Think about the smaller plumbing and electrical companies, especially in an area of the country that is experiencing substantial sustained growth. There are many such companies eager to train you in their field. As an independent contractor, hoping you can take some advantage of the workload and stress to handle all of their services work. It does 3 things for you immediately. Number 1, gives you cash flow. Number 2, gives you insight on how to run a small business. And number 3, gives you a valuable trade. Some people start their own business or work for a small company that gives them the opportunity of something called recognition. In other words, a public view of a congratulations of a job well done. For some people, having the opportunity to be in front of a group of people cheering their name due to some exciting success that they just had is almost as important to them as breathing. I'm not kidding. When you have created a business that gets recognition from the industry and your peers, it puts a positive spotlight on you and your business. Some people really thrive when their contributions are recognized within the company and community. If you're not into that, that's okay. But some of your type A personalities need the opportunity to fight to be the first in all they do and to be noticed for their efforts. And it's good press, too, for your company. So give recognition where recognition is due, take responsibility for failures, and give out credit where credit is due to everyone who succeeds. You put them first, they will help put you first. At some point in our conversation about this mini course to help you start your first home-based business, you knew I was going to talk to you about taxes. The small business tax issues can be great and varied and complex. That's why you want to have somebody help you with your taxes and your bookkeeping. It's very important that you stay on top of all of this. But let's tell you where we're coming from. I'm willing to bet that when you decided to start your own business, that you didn't anticipate you would also be finding a permanent and demanding partner at the same time. In fact, I'll bet you didn't even think about it. Your new partner doesn't need your approval or permission to control a large part of your business. His name is the IRS. Yep, the tax man or woman in this politically correct discussion. Remember way back in the beginning of learning what it takes to start your own business? I reminded you then that before you make your first sale of a product, service, or consulting job, you most likely will need to get some type of license in the state, county, and city that you live. That license is controlled by tax revenues, which most likely will be coming from your business and given to the tax authorities of state and federal revenue services. Oh joy, I'm sure you can't wait. You need to remember that although there are substantial tax benefits for being self-employed, they also come with some non-negotiable consequences of being the business owner. That means you will engage the services eventually of either a small business bookkeeper or a CPA. Use them wisely, because they will know how to use your tax benefits and take care of the other demands that taxing authorities place on your business. My advice, try to develop a business which is only taxed by the federal government and not the city, county, and state. Consulting and related services come to mind. Why people start their own businesses. We've talked about others, let's talk about me. Since we happen to have this really nifty whiteboard, I want to give you some insights about why I started one of my very first businesses. I grew up in western Montana on a working ranch, which had over 230 cattle, 54 horses, and 27 dogs. At a very young age, my role for several years was to take care of the hunting dogs every night and drive for the hay crews in the summer. I really got tired of lifting hay bales. By my junior year in high school, I began my first development and harvest business, which was locating and buying lodgepole trees and cutting them into posts and hauling them to the mill for final production. One of my best friends drove us to and from the forest. My dad was self-employed for over 35 years, developing a logging contracting company, making it simple for me to be the one who cut the trees into posts, and then my friend and I would load them onto the truck where he would drive us to the processing plant. Although the haying season just finished, I still had the responsibility to manage the irrigation system for hundreds of acres, which was done at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then we jumped in the truck and drove 70 miles one way into the forest to get my lease, which is what you do. You purchase a lease from the Forest Service for a certain quantity of trees to harvest the trees into posts. It was a grueling time due to the hours and lifting. But back then, I could earn and clear over $60 a day, which was great while it lasted. Then I had to go back to school in just a few weeks, but I learned what it takes, a lot of effort to start and run your own business, no matter what the final product or service becomes. And I also learned about cash flow in terms of cost to run the rigs and equipment and chainsaws and manage the expenses of gas and so forth, and how to put a price on our time and products. Then after the school year began, it was back to books, horses and cattle, and of course, irrigation for hundreds of acres. Now that you've come this far, read and heard from experts on what is required to create a business, and now understand the motives of why people decided to become self-employed and why they would even begin to start a business, the important question is, are you up to the challenge? The challenge is quite simple. You need to continue finishing this mini course and to position yourselves to create your very first home-based business. Take a close look at all the videos, handouts, PDF downloads, and all of the materials available to you that I've sent to you, and set aside everything in your mind that deals with something called the FUD rule. And those are your fears, uncertainties, and doubts. We all have them, but you can do this. Imagine, if you will, that this is you making a presentation to your very first customer or client who may or may not want what it is you're trying to sell or provide them. Scary thought. I have prepared for you the words and the plan with a perfect remedy to ease your concerns. The perfect presentation training video in lesson 3, known as the 8-minute presentation, will give you all the encouragement and lessons that you need in order to make your presentations to your prospects, your clients, your investors for the very first time. Shown below is one of my logos, which is intended to show that I'm dedicated and personally invested in helping you develop and create your own successful and profitable business. I want you to look for checklists and staging materials in the final comments to include a way for you to manage your progress in this mini course series entitled Your First Home-Based Business. This is Gene Irwin, the founder of the 3D Business Launch Model, and also the mini course to help you get to your first home-based business. I'm going to duplicate this slide and provide you with the checklists and with the other downloads at the end of the lesson 3, but I wanted you to see what you're in for. You're going to hear the following phrase: where do we go from here? Well, that's a great question. I'm going to pull back the curtain and show you elements of what my larger clients are going through to help them realize their dreams of creating a successful and profitable business. These concepts may be of interest to you. All of my serious business owners want more freedom and experiences for themselves and their loved ones to enjoy life together. And I suspect that you do as well. So what I'm going to do now is just show you what these slides are and go over quickly the content. We'll discuss those more in detail in the next lesson. In this series of slides, this covers basically the entire 8-week program for something called the 3D Business Launch Model. What we've been working on in the last few days and last videos that you've seen in this mini course is primarily the 72-hour analysis. So we talked to you about what it takes to get your business off the ground and what it takes to get you the kinds of balanced products and services that you need, help you understand why people go into business for themselves, and also to learn what you've got to do to get this thing ready to be successful at your end. So those are the different kinds of projects and content that's contained in what we call the full 3D Business Launch Model. What you are seeing now is basically the mini course of just one of those modules. We believe in you. We believe that you have the capacity to step up and start your own business and to do it correctly. So we're trying to give you all the tools, all the techniques, all the things that you need to be aware of before you go out and make your first sale or presentation. So let's get on. I want to show some other things we want you to see, to get kind of be aware of, and then we'll begin to deliver to you lesson 3 of your first home-based business. This slide goes into detail of what I look at quickly when I first talk to a business owner that's already got his business up and running. We go, of course, through the module 1 we talked about with you in detail, but we also look at the most urgent client challenges, their industry, market, company, strategy, and products, along with their service, technical issues, sales issues, and competition. You'll hear more about this later at the end of lesson 3. This is Gene Irwin, the founder of the 3D Business Launch Model and the creator of the mini course, Why People Start Their Own Business. In this particular part of the lesson, it's all designed to help you learn the motivation behind people who become self-employed, and in this case, we're trying to help you understand what it takes to develop and create your first home-based business.